Children are bundles of joy and are a source of delight to everyone. While they're not perfect, they're usually without malice or envy. The possibility of a child meticulously planning, kidnapping, torturing, and finally killing a fellow child seems to be taken straight out of the pages of a horror story. But I'm guessing, since we're here discussing this case, you already know that it's not. Sadly, this was what happened in the chilling case of the 2-year-old James Bulger. Welcome to this channel. Today we're going to take a look at the true crime story of James Bulger. Before we continue, make sure you like, share and subscribe to get notified about our latest true crime videos. Now, sit back as we take a look into the sad, bone-chilling case of James Bulger. The world was shocked when it was revealed that two 10-year-olds, John Venables and Robert Thompson from England, were responsible for torturing, killing and mutilating the body of 2-year-old James Bulger. On 12th February 1993, these troubled kids were skipping school and hanging out at New Strand Shopping Centre, a busy mall in Bootle, England. They spent the day stealing batteries, sweets and a bucket of paint, all these being items that would later be discovered at the crime scene. While at the mall, the boys were on the lookout for a kid to abduct. Even more disturbing was their plan to take whoever they abduct to a busy road and push them into the path of oncoming traffic. When later questioned, the boys were unable to explain the motive behind their plans, claiming it just happened. James Patrick Bulger was born on 16th March 1990 to Ralph and Denise Bulger. James was always smiling and was a great source of joy to his parents, who had previously lost a stillborn daughter. He was healthy and had his whole life ahead of him. But on February 12, 1993, the unthinkable happened. James accompanied his mother Denise to the New Strand Shopping Centre. While she was briefly distracted inside a butcher's shop on the lowest floor of the shopping centre, James wandered towards the door of the centre and was lured outside by John Venables and Robert Thompson at 3:42 p.m. Denise immediately discovered that her son was missing. She panicked and made her way to the mall security office, where she described what her son looked like and what he was wearing. This seemed like a routine case to the security officers, who usually had to announce the description of lost kids over the speakers to help them locate their parents at the mall's information center. But little did they know that this case was about to become one of the most high-profile missing child cases in England's history. The local police were soon informed about the disappearance of James Bulger. Meanwhile, John Venables and Robert Thompson had James and were walking out aimlessly with him until they got to a bridge near a canal. The boys decided to go under the bridge and soon got to an isolated place. There, they dropped James on his head, causing him to suffer injuries to the face. As he cried, the boys joked about pushing him into the canal. Someone who saw James at the canal said the little boy was crying his eyes out. The boys then took James on a 4-kilometre or 2.5-mile walk around Liverpool. Most bystanders who saw them described the boy crying with the older boys kicking him, but did nothing to intervene, as they probably assumed they were brothers. However, when others questioned the boys, they simply either claimed that James was lost and they were taking him to the nearest police station, or that he was their younger brother. At 5:30 p.m, Venables and Thompson decided to take little James to a railway station and finally get rid of him there. When they got there, they began to torture the innocent 2-year-old boy. The boys began their assault on James by throwing the paint that was shoplifted from the mall into his eyes. They threw stones at him, kicked him, took off his pants and underwear and mutilated his foreskin and inserted batteries into his mouth and anus. To finally crown the brutal assault, the boys dropped a 10-kilogram or 22-pound railway fish plate on Bulger. When they noticed that James was dead, the troubled boys laid his body on the railway tracks and covered his head with bricks. Their plan was to disguise their evil act as a railway accident, and they left the scene of this brutal crime just shortly before the next train came. The police soon obtained a copy of the mall CCTV footage and immediately released several images of Venables and Thompson. James Bulger suffered 10 skull fractures as a result of the metal bar hitting his head. Dr. Alan Williams, the forensic pathologist of the case, stated that James suffered so many injuries, 42 in total, that he was not able to identify which was the fatal blow. What was established, however, was the fact that James had died before the train cut his body in two. James's disappearance was announced on the evening news and calls immediately began to pour in. The severed body of James Patrick Bulger was found 2 days after his disappearance, lying on the tracks. When the news went public, there was an outpouring of emotion as thousands of people converged at the scene of the crime, leaving hundreds of bouquets of flowers in memory of a boy who died too soon. 3 days later, a woman recognized the boys behind the crime from a low-resolution photo the police had released from the CCTV footage of the mall. The boys were soon arrested and taken to different police stations where they were interrogated. There were various tape recordings of some of the interviews given by the boys while in police custody. On 24th November 1993, the boys confessed and they were found guilty. They both received a sentence that ensured that they would remain in detention until they were at least 25. With this sentence, John Venables and Robert Thompson officially became the youngest convicted murderers of the 20th century, as well as the youngest convicted murderers in modern English history. John Venables was released in 2001, but was again sent to prison in 2010 and released in 2013. The detention centers where the boys were held was kept secret until after the boys were released. John Venables was held at Vardy House, a unit at the Red Bank Secure Unit in St. Helens on Merseyside, while Robert Thompson was held at Barton Moss Secure Care Centre in Manchester. He was released in June 2001 at the age of 23. While the testimonials from staff at his detention centre were positive, he never showed any remorse over his crime or the victim he played a part in killing. Thompson lives as a free man with a new identity and a government-granted anonymity. According to public sources, he has not committed any other crimes since he was released. John Venables, on the other hand, seems to be the one with the most issues. Soon after his release, he was sent back to prison on suspected child pornography charges. It is said that Venables received a new identity in 2011 after an incident that exposed his whereabouts. Thanks for listening to the sad story of James Andrew Bulger. What do you think? After the gruesome torture and murder of James Patrick Bulger, do you feel that the sentences handed out were fair? Do John Venables and Robert Thompson really deserve a fresh start? Let us know in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel to stay in touch with our latest videos.